A teen gets framed for pranks in her town and must enlist the help of a strange friend to help take down the creepy culprit.
This episode of the Walt Vault podcast is brought to you by DonorsChoose.org. Our very own old man negative Luis is requesting your help. Due to COVID, the high school soccer team that he coaches is switching seasons and needs better gear. He is conducting a donation drive for his boys' soccer team in hopes of getting them some short-sleeve soccer jerseys in order to relieve them from possible heat-related illness. Luis says that if you are willing to donate, he will love you until the end of time, probably at least 1,000,000 years. We only need $500 to reach the projected goal, so please go donate now. In addition to Luis's undying love, anyone who donates will get an exclusive signed picture of the entire Walt Vault crew with Luis in an Olaf costume. And you know how much he hates Olaf, but he's going to be wearing the costume. That's the kind of dedication that he has to his students. So go to DonorsChoose.org, type in Luis Ruiz, or click the link that's in our description below to go and donate now. Thank you for your help. Welcome to the Walt Vault with Andre,
Michelle,
Emily,
And Luis.
We are a family-friendly podcast where each and every week we watch and review a different Disney movie. Be sure to subscribe on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 123.
1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6.
easy as
ABC.
Oh, I was like 4, 5, 6. Just kept counting.
6, 7, 8.
9, 10.
What's
Here we
happening?
go.
That's
y'all?
how you count to 10. Yeah.
Happy Halloween. When is this episode coming out? Okay,
Wait,
yeah.
do.
It's almost Halloween.
But
or
you know-
it was just Halloween. No, it's almost Halloween.
You know what the good thing about this is? This is like officially an anniversary episode.
That's right.
Yeah, it is.
So in 2017, we
Ah.
debuted the Walt Vault for the first time on October 30th with our first episode on none other than Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep wanting to say it was Halloween Town. We did that the next year.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we've actually done lots of good, creepy stuff for each of our anniversary episodes.
Wait, is Hocus Pocus a Disney Channel original?
No.
Oh, dang it.
But we've done lots of good, like, I call them all good. And this week's movie, is considered the most scary Disney Channel original movie.
That's right. This week we are talking about the 1999 live-action Disney Channel original movie, Don't Look Under the Bed.
Don't do it.
Don't
Don't
do it.
look under there. It's scary.
But it is interesting because we did like Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, and now Don't Look Under the Bed, which I feel like are like top tier Halloween type of Disney movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
that's very true.
let's go ahead and go in to our first impressions. Luis, we'll start with you.
Firsties. Was this the first time you saw this?
Luis did you like it?
I did. It was well made.
Okay.
No, really.
I did.
It was well made. It didn't give me that vibe of I'm not gonna like it because it's dumb. So I liked it.
Very good.
Didn't give him a dumb vibe.
All right then.
I can't.
Andre.
That was the weirdest thing I've ever heard you say.
That's not the weirdest thing he's ever said. That was pretty Luis for me. Andre, first impression of Don't Look Under the Bed.
Impression. Yes, I had seen this movie before, probably when it came out back in 1999. And I remember it being creepy but cool. Like, I remember there being a lot of interesting things happening in this movie. Upon this viewing, I was like, wow, this movie is like way weirder than I remember it being. But overall, very good. They set up an interesting mystery that took a while for you to like figure out exactly what was happening. But then when you figured it out, it had reached a satisfying conclusion. I think this was a solid Disney Channel original film. Oh, also, I would like to let you guys know that this episode of the Walt Vault will go back to our regularly scheduled clean content. Last week, we was acting a fool on the Ichabod episode.
Acted a fool.
And, we was dropping all kinds of bombs. This is S and F, B. It was everywhere.
SFB.
It was all over the place. But today we'll keep it clean. We rinse our mouths out with soap as you're supposed to do when you do that kind of thing, and now we're back here.
Bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Imagine if our parents actually made us do that. Like,
That's
you always see that like on TV.
Dude, a
TV
babysitter
shows,
did that to me
oh,
once.
I was
Are
so
you
scared.
serious?
Yeah. She washed my mouth out with soap.
That's disgusting.
What?
It was Barbara. Yeah, she evil.
You know her name. It was Barbara.
Yeah, I was like 6.
He remembers Barbara.
Mhm.
It
I don't even know what I said. I didn't curse until I was like 12 or 13. I don't know what I could have.
You were probably cursing up the storm until she traumatized you.
Yeah,
then you
maybe.
Just blocked that part of your life.
Oh, snap. Yeah.
Maybe
The
she
soap, it washed it out of my brain, son.
Then after that,
Maybe.
she went and did a complete inception where she planted an idea in your head that you had never cussed until you were 12.
When you
Okay.
were 6.
Dang you, Barbara.
All right. Well, Emily, first impression?
I agree with Andre. I think it was solid. Like, for a Disney Channel original movie, your expectations are just different.
Right.
But I really enjoyed it. I too. So I thought maybe I've seen this, maybe I haven't, but most of the movie I did not feel like I knew until they got to the part in the kitchen where he's like making the goo.
The Boogey Goo.
And that scene I've seen before.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if I saw that like in different contexts or just that piece of it. But then I was like, oh, I've seen this. But then like when they went to Boogie World, I had never seen that. So it was really cool because it kind of kept me guessing the whole time. I felt like it was a good mystery. And pretty well played out. I mean, there was issues, but again, it's a Disney Channel original movie. If there wasn't issues, it would be an issue.
That's kind of the fun thing about TV movies and growing up watching movies on TV is that you can just flip a channel and then be watching the middle of a movie, and then after like 2 commercial breaks, you're like, what else is on? And then you switch away, and that's all you've ever seen of that movie. Yeah. So that's
Or
pretty
I got scared and like my parents changed it or something.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But I literally had zero idea about the beginning.
Them fingernails were scary. I don't blame them for turning that channel off. You know?
There were some horrific little spices up in here. Michelle.
All right. So I think for a Disney Channel original movie, it was definitely like really good compared to some of the other ones we've watched or like held up. But I don't remember this movie. Like, for some reason, there must be a Disney Channel original movie that has like a zombie or like a
mummy.
A mummy.
Under wraps.
Okay, so I think that's the one I was thinking of. So I don't really remember this one. And I probably did see it, but maybe I didn't because honestly it was kind of scary, right? But I just kept remembering.
Well, after your conversation last week, I kept thinking about clowns in closets. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think my parents would have let me watch this, like, you know. But it was good. I really liked it. But for some reason, like, Andre made the comment just now, like, it kind of came to a satisfying end, but like, not really for me.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I really liked the ending, but I liked the movie overall, and I really, really liked the kid who played the imaginary friend, and I kept saying, like, I know that kid. But then Andre was like, oh, yeah, he was on Even Stevens. He was, like, the best friend. I was like, oh, okay, thank you.
Yes, we're talking about...
Because I was like, I know that kid, but I've never seen this movie.
Exactly.
But so I
agree.
It kept bothering
I felt
me
like
where
I knew
was
him
like,
from
I
something.
know him. But then once Andre was like, oh yeah, he was on Even Stevens. I was like, okay, thank you, because I was going crazy. I really liked it.
Ty Hodges is his name. And yeah, he was on this. He was on Even Stevens. He was on a couple other Disney Channel stuff. And then
he's a cute kid. I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
He was funny. Yeah. Well, I'm happy that we all enjoyed this movie a little more than Ichabod.
Ichabod.
Bob.
Y'all remember Ichabod.
Ichabod Crane.
And I love how conveniently we have not said anything about ribbits.
Mr. Toad.
Better cut with that ribbits. You're going to wake little ribbits over there.
Yeah,
yeah.
Adeline has been pretending to be a frog all day long.
Oh, really?
Because of Mr. Toad, or just
No,
because?
just because. So she's been like ribbiting all day and just like replacing words with ribbits. So Louise definitely looked at the wall to expecting her to be like, ribbit.
Yeah, y'all better watch out. She's going to steal a car. All right. So this movie, Don't Look Under the Bed, it was directed by Mr. Kenneth Johnson, who you remember from directing Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century. So that's cool.
Which is, again, one of the other
Pretty
better
Disney Channel original movies. He also directed the movie Steel, starring Shaq, where he plays a superhero called Steel.
I don't know anything about that. And
the less you know, the better. But it's,
all right,
it's awesome.
Moving on.
Okay, so let's get into the pivoting plot of this film, because it's a weird set of circumstances that this movie falls under.
It is very weird, but I like the way they set it up.
The storytelling.
So maybe that's why, like, once they actually got to the end and saw the boogeyman, I was like, okay. Like, I like all the setup. And then I think at the end, I was kind of like, whatever. So the first, like, half or 3/4 of this movie, I was, like, really enjoying a lot. Because it is like a mystery at the same time.
So let's start there. So the first scene, and at first I was like, what is happening? One of the first scenes, they're narrating, panning through the city, and you're kind of learning about how everybody who lives in Middleburg. It's just like a run-of-the-mill, middle of America town. Nothing ever happens there. But then one night, Frances, which is obviously our main character,
protagonist, yes,
she becomes, the focal point of a mystery.
Yes.
And so we're starting to see what's going on with Frances. And I think that's one of the first times you see literally the most scary thing about this movie happen. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you talking about the clocks?
Nah.
No, the dolls freaking turning their heads.
Oh, yes.
The porcelain doll.
Yeah.
Turning
As
their
soon as that
heads.
started happening, I was like, oh, we're doing this? Like, this is not okay with me. Like,
And let's pause
this
right
is a
here.
Scary Disney Channel movie.
I don't know what kind of households you grew up in, but I grew up in a household that had porcelain dolls like that. Like,
Yes, so did I.
They were just
Why?
around.
My grandma's house.
Yeah.
My grandma's
Why?
house.
Why? Is it like a white person thing?
I think
Is it
so.
like a time period thing? I don't know.
Maybe.
I think it's like a time period thing because my grandma had a ton of porcelain dolls and would buy them for my sister, and she would put them in her room, remember? And she used to scare me with dolls. I think we told that story before.
I only think of porcelain dolls, or like, when I think of porcelain dolls, I think of like thrift shops and stuff like that. Like the very old-fashioned kind of.
Well,
statues.
we definitely had two in my house growing up, and I remember one time saying like, "Mom," and they weren't particularly creepy, like they were like cute or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, "Mom, why do we have these dolls?" And she's like, "Oh, I made them." And I think that she made it like in junior college or something.
Oh,
like
that's interesting.
It was like she painted the eyes and she did it. And so I mean, it really did look. I mean, it was not scary.
That's cool.
But then, like when I started getting older and realizing that like porcelain dolls were scary in those contexts, I was like, "Mom, we need to get rid of these things. Like, get them out of here."
Bertha and Gertrude giving me
liked
eyes.
I'm just weird. I never
Get
liked
Rita out of here.
I never liked dolls. Like I did not play with dolls as a kid. I played with like mermaid Barbies and Hot Wheels. So like my sister
vroom.
loved dolls, and I was like, "What is wrong with you? Like dolls are creepy." But I think like you said, they're creepy within context. Like I was getting like
especially
Annabelle
here.
vibes. I was like, "Get out of here!" With
Especially right here. They're just sitting in her room and then the heads start moving to look at her.
this. Not cool.
So slowly.
And I think
So
it's
Only
slowly
okay in
creepy.
Haunted Mansion. I don't like it any other
Did
time.
they do it in Haunted Mansion?
Well, the things follow you on the wall, the busts. Because even like the bust was moving his head in this, and I was like,
yeah,
"Stop
you're
it."
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's true.
But I think that was cool because Frances was getting no creepy vibes, but like we were getting omniscient creepy
Right.
vibs because the viewers
We could
saw
see
it.
that the creepiness was following her. I
Yeah,
like,
that was
uh-oh.
pretty cool.
Girl, turn your head around just a little bit.
Girl, look. But so immediately we see like the first shenanigans start happening, and the whole family gets woken up because all their alarm clocks go off.
it's
3 hours early.
3
It's
hours
still pitch
early.
black outside. It's like, it can't be 7 o'clock. This is crazy.
But the interesting thing was, and I thought it was just like trying to show time passing, but we saw like a speeding up of the clocks.
right, yes.
On
While
screen.
she's asleep and narrating.
And it was actually being sped up by something more nefarious, right?
Which you could kind of see in the shadows.
Oh, could you?
Yeah,
I need to go
I
back
could
and
see his creepy claws in the shadows. Like, get out of here, boogeyman. You
So
know,
everyone-
I didn't know the story of the boogeyman really though, and I don't think I really still do. Like, I didn't realize he was under the bed and stuff. So Andre was like, well, the boogeyman's kind of different in like lots of things.
Right. I mean, it's just
But-
any kind of like monster that lives in your room is
It's a boogeyman?
can be considered a boogeyman. Yeah, some under
Okay.
the bed, some hanging out in the closet, some on the ceiling. You know,
Okay.
I
when you
just
see,
think
like-
of like
when you hang like a
boogies.
jacket over your chair
Like
and it looks like a person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The booger
boogies.
man.
It's what we call
I just think of
Boogeyman.
dancing from the 70s. I'm just boogieing.
boogie nights.
I was like, oh, Boogie World, let's
Get
go.
down, boogie, oogie, oogie. Yeah, that song.
The face you made with that oogie, I don't know.
What I do?
Gomez.
So
Doug
yeah,
Craig.
it's the middle of the night. They all wake up. They're all like, "What's going on? Where are the eggs? Why is everything all weird?"
That would crack me up. She was like, we had 24 eggs in here and they're gone. I was like, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to make you some scrambled
Someone
eggs. and
freaking
they
ate
ain't
their
got no
eggs in the sleep. Like,
The dad is played by Stephen Tobolowsky, who
he's
you'll
in
remember
everything.
from Freaky Friday, the mean teacher.
I cannot.
And this one,
dude's
he's
in everything.
and this one he's the weird dad, and he's like, I set my clocks by the NASA lunar module or whatever. And it's like, okay, bud,
Calm down.
we get it.
And he figures out aptly that it's actually 4:30 a.m., not 7:30 a.m. or what have you.
So they like try to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So they go, and you realize very quickly that there's weird family dynamics. That the Frances, our protagonist, is the middle child.
Yes.
She's very smart, very logical. There's a younger
There must
kid.
be a logical reason why the clocks went forward.
Yeah.
Calm
There's
down.
a younger kid who seems to be like health conscious, but
Right.
also pretty logical.
Darwin.
And then an older kid who's always assuming that everyone's blaming him for something.
Right. Bert. Albert. Was it Albert or
Albert.
Robert? It's Bert.
For sure.
Yeah.
That was me, the one that got blamed for everything. When I didn't do nothing.
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 Okay.
Yeah, whatever you say, bro. You on a podcast. We heard it.
Nothing.
It's recorded. Okay. So they go back to sleep, and then the next morning, everyone's getting up and getting ready for school. And we start to meet Frances's kind of little world. So we see Frances meet up with her best friend, and we learn quickly that she is so smart and so on top of it and mature that she has promoted to high school
Right.
when she should have been in, what, 8th grade?
She
or
skipped a
something?
grade, so now she's a freshman in high school instead of an 8th grader.
Which I think is ridiculous.
which
Like
is
she
a big
needs,
deal,
like
I guess.
everybody needs the maturity, like to get to that.
I know. I
point.
was like, why did she skip that grade?
Like, that's
of
a
all
weird
things.
grade.
Yeah, it's
Usually you
interesting.
skip like first grade or kindergarten. You know.
Right. But yeah, she skips her grade. Also, we find out that her friend has a crush on Bert, the older brother. And then also, as they're walking to school, they see several dogs on roofs. There's just dogs hanging out out there. And it's like,
weird.
how'd the dogs get on the roof? And it's like, you know?
They Scooby
You
Dooed
guys
it.
remember they were talking about that, like getting a dog, hit her and her brother, and then it's like, I think she might have said something like, "You're so responsible, you'll probably put it on the roof."
Yeah, the boogeyman would play off of like stuff she would
a
say.
lot of the stuff that she was
Interesting.
saying, the boogeyman did.
Did she say
The
anything
boogeyman
about the eggs?
did. No, but the eggs were missing.
Right. Yeah, I knew that the eggs were
No, I
missing.
think they might have said something about the eggs.
Well, I think it was about the eggs being missing.
No,
I think that was like the import. Like
I think. Don't quote me.
the eggs are missing.
So they walk to school. They see these dogs on roofs, and they get to the school, and she's like, "There's a guy looking at me.
Who is that dude?
Who is that?"
He out here staring.
He good look. No, she was like, look at that guy looking
Well,
at
and that's
me.
the thing is that was one of the first thing. That was the vibe I got was like, there's a cute guy looking at me, and I was so happy that was the vibe because, I'm not.
I referred to him as a cool black guy in my notes until about halfway through.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a cute black kid. She's a white girl, and I love it. Like
She's just
like,
super into it.
like
She's-
throw it out.
she's
there.
like,
that was
that guy
me
is, like, looking
in
at me.
high school. Like, oh dang, look at that. That was me.
but that's good though. Like I'm
Right.
glad
Yeah.
that they portrayed that because
In a 90s
that
movie.
could have
Less
not happened.
common
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know
in '99, I guess.
in Middleburg of all places.
what?
Can't do that, Middleburg.
So he's staring at her pretty hard. She's like taken aback. She's like, "Oh my God, what's happening over here? Mr. Sunglasses and big hair. He's gawking." And he's like, she like points at her friend like, "Hey, you see that dude staring at me?" And the friend is like, "What are you talking about? There ain't no dude over there." And so she looks back and he's gone, and it's like, oh, okay, where did he go?
Then he walks up. Then she like continues to walk up into the school, and she sees one of her teachers who's very compulsively cleaning his car.
It's the biology teacher
in front of the school. Like, why would you park on the street?
He's got a convertible. He's parked it right in front of the school.
He didn't put the roof up.
Everybody sees that he's cooler than his beer belly.
Pretty sure he was parked like in a fire lane. Like, I don't think you can just park like that.
So he very quickly is like, hey, Francis, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I kind of got creepy vibes from him.
Yeah.
But like, she doesn't.
Well, she was just like, that's the biology teacher. He really likes me. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I never thought like, ooh, I always thought my biology teacher hated me. Like, I feel like that's what you're supposed to
I guess
think.
because she's supposed to be really smart, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But you can tell very quickly that he cares a lot about his car, and that comes up soon once she gets into school. And I can't remember if it happens here or after, but she's walking on campus.
Yeah, she's walking into the actual front of the school, and you see a cool black kid. He's up there. He has changed his outfit completely. He's in a completely different outfit.
Yeah.
It's been 2 minutes, since she last saw him, and he's looking at her. He's looking down at her once again.
But from a
that's
very
like
precarious place, like where a normal person would not be.
Right.
That's
From
what
a-
like
from
made
a
this
vantage
movie
point.
interesting though, because I was like, what the heck is this kid doing, and why is he wearing different clothes now? Now he's on the roof looking at all of these eggs. I'm like, what
And he
are
has
you
like a different
doing?
hairstyle and everything. Like
Right,
it's a
right.
whole different.
Yeah, it's a whole different motif.
thing.
He got a new pair of shades and everything. And so she enters the school. She goes to biology class. She's chatting it up with all of the kids because everybody is kind of going like, hey, did your alarm clock go off early last night? Hey, did your alarm clock? My alarm clock went off. And Frances, she starts charting all of this out.
She's like, I'm taking some research.
Statistical data.
Yeah,
like,
she opens a notebook and starts a spreadsheet, I guess. And
like,
literally.
I couldn't even do statistics in college. Like, good for
she's
you,
doing it at
you fresh.
14 or whatever. So yeah, she's doing all that, and she's kind of chatting in class while the teacher's talking. So he's like, Francis, you got anything you want to share? And she's like, actually, I do. Check this thing out. All these people found out that their alarm clocks went off early last night. Yours? And the teacher was like, yeah, but that's kind of weird that you know that. Interesting. Let me get that from you. And then she sees a cool black dude. He's in the classroom. He's staring at her from behind a skeleton thing
that was
or whatever.
creepy. I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
Super creepy.
It was super creeps, and she looks over. She's like, and then he disappears once again.
And did you notice that, like, even in the biology room, like little creepy things were happening, like little
the skeleton's
things
head
were like
moved.
moving their
skeletons
heads.
were moving.
still. I know the whole head thing. I was like, please stop, please.
But it was
Oh my
good.
God.
Like, it was
Right.
like the little good things
It's
that
really-
I like to look for.
They really did a lot of masterful little kid scary things, right? Like this movie is certainly creepy, and they've got a bunch of tilt shot cinematography where the camera just like turns on its head a little bit as you're looking at something weird. So yeah, I remember being scared of this movie, but not like I remember being
Not, like,
scared from
terrified.
this movie, but not terrified of it.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
it's just creepy.
Yeah, it's Creepsville.
But it's like simple creepy stuff.
Yeah, so while she's getting reprimanded by the teacher for taking all this data or whatever, outside we see eggs start to rain upon the car.
Of
and
that
The
teacher.
Yeah,
convertible.
the
and that's why
convertible.
you put the hood up on your convertible when you park it.
Bro, what do you think you're doing? You think you're just gonna let somebody get
At a
all these
high
eggs all up
school?
in here?
Come
Yeah,
on
you're
now.
nuts.
Who you think you are? Okay.
Yeah, what do you think you are? The
But
history teacher,
It
dude?
was funny because at first was my first thing. Oh my gosh, look! Oh, there's the 24 eggs, and then they kept falling and falling
See,
and falling
I
and
didn't.
falling
I
and
didn't
falling.
put that together. That it was the 24 eggs from the fridge yet.
Well-
I hadn't put that together. I was
Oh.
like, ooh, someone's egg in his car. That teacher's gonna be mad.
Well, and it's funny because it was very obviously all the eggs of all the people, not
Right,
just
not
their
just-
eggs.
not
Like
just
it was
Francis's eggs.
much more than just 24.
Exactly. So cool black guy, he makes his way outside, different outfit. He goes up to the roof and he sees that all these egg cartons are open and that the car has been egged, and he's like, oh, that's weird. And then we cut to like the the biology teacher going out there and seeing all of this, and he's like, what in the world? And Frances,
It's sad.
what does she do? Does she just say like eggs or something like that? She says something that makes him suspicious of her.
He was just like, do you know about this? And
Right.
she was like, no.
She's like, nah, dude, I don't know. I was in class with you.
Which I found very bizarre that was like she was the first person he questioned.
Right.
Like,
I was like,
okay.
don't you like her?
Yeah, I
Like
thought
all
I
the
liked
other
her.
kids
What
are
happened?
laughing and she's not.
And I could be wrong, but like at the same time, they go to the gym, right? Is this like the same
Yeah.
like time
Yes.
period? They like take over to a different part in the school, and a girl has jumped in during into the swimming pool during swim class and is
it's
literally stuck. And it's gelatin the whole pool.
Well, and then because the narrator was like, at the same time,
Yeah.
somebody
All
put
this-
some gelatin
all
in
this
the
other
pool,
weird
and I was
stuff
like,
is
y'all
happening.
better get her out. She can't breathe
can't
in there.
breathe.
She can get her out of that
All the
gelatin.
legs are going.
I'd have been eating. I'm like,
Ew.
yeah, the gelatin is especially weird because a little bit later,
It's red.
yeah, it's bright red.
Like you jumped in that pool.
Yeah, she jumped
I don't
in.
understand how 1 second it was water and the next second it was Jello.
Exactly.
I was like,
No,
what
I
the-
feel like it was Jello when she jumped in.
Yeah.
No, I think it showed. I don't know.
But
that
I mean,
was weird.
it has to be one or the other of those things, right? Because yeah, either it was Jello when everybody from the swim team arrived, or it was water, and then she jumped in and immediately magically changed to
Congealed?
Jello. Yeah, super congealing. Yeah, why pick bright red Jello? I don't understand why you could. There's blue
Well, because
Jello,
that's
right?
what was in people's cupboards.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because just the scene after, the mom was like looking through the cupboards, or the dad
The
was,
dad.
or something, and he's like, "Where's all my Jello?
Where's my gelatin?
How am I gonna make my piggly wiggly pudding?" or whatever he says.
The dad is so funny because
He's so weird.
he's trying to cook.
Piggly, that dude always plays weird people though.
Yeah.
Piggly wiggly pudding.
I think this is the youngest I've ever seen him in something. Actually, he's got that.
but he still looks the same.
But he
fresh brown
still
beard
looks like.
and that bald head. You know what I'm talking
Oh.
about?
Oh.
So yeah, so all of that happens. There's a bunch of bugs left in the principal's office. and
like a hornet, a bee,
That was
Yeah.
or a
Swarm.
some kind of swarm that was attacking him and messing him up pretty good. And then also somebody started graffitiing bees all over town.
The letter B.
B on people's feet, on buildings, and then on all the lockers. And
in
when-
the high school.
Which
in high
were
school.
they're like assuming is her because her middle name is Bacon. And
Well,
I'm like,
no, that's
okay.
not. At first, they think it's her because hers is the only locker
The only
without
locker
a
without
bee.
a bee.
Oh, right.
And they're like, oh my God, it must be her. She must be the one who did it. And then she opens her locker and she's like, oh my God, what is going on? And then there's a bee inside the locker and everybody's like, oh, that must mean it. She has to be the one who did it. It's like, what? Why would
she
Like, why would
graffiti
you
it on the
assume that?
inside?
What if her
Like,
locker
why
was
would
just
she
open
graffiti
when
her
graffiti
own
dude was
locker
there?
on the inside?
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
didn't
make any
understand
sense.
the bee though. I won't lie to you. Like, why
Because
was
it's
it a
for
bee?
it stands for boogeyman.
Oh.
Like B for boogeyman.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Okay.
But they thought it was Bacon because that
Boogie
was her
person.
middle name.
Boogie
Bacon.
person.
Bacon.
That makes more sense now.
Bacon.
Yeah.
Bacon.
So while all this is happening, the
Bacon.
biology teacher goes home and he's covered in eggs or whatever. His dog jumps off the roof and attacks him, which is pretty funny. We start seeing
On the roof.
Yeah, we start seeing just like imagery of this clawed creature. So he's the one who like drew the dogs up onto the roof with treats and whatever, and we see him like planting flowers in the middle of the
Like
night.
marigolds in the middle of the
Yeah,
night.
I was like,
I was
what?
like, all right,
I
he's
thought
getting
that was
he's
so
getting
weird.
his plant on.
What
all
kind
right.
of nefarious plan is this?
I'm an avid gardener.
It's
but-
obviously
and then he was like,
Ingrid from the last movie. She heck allergic.
I was getting mad too. I was like, no, he's digging in the grass. No, you're ruining the lawn.
Yeah, it was really nice lawn. So yeah, he's doing that. He's like, Franny.
I think we have to throw it out there that both the Mortons and the Ruizes do not have grass at their houses.
We do
so
not.
For us,
Correct.
like, don't mess up
I got
somebody's
fake grass, but it ain't
lawn.
no real
You
grass.
know how much they pay for this grass?
I know how much they paid for it because we couldn't afford it.
It's expensive, dude.
So she's walking around. There's stuff following her. Sorry, I'm just looking through my notes here to see what happens next. I can't remember. This is when the Jello conversation happens.
He wants to make a piggly wiggly.
Pickle wiggle.
Right. So this is the next day now. The mom and dad, they're in the kitchen. Dad's like, "Where's my Jello? I wanted to make Piggly Wiggly or whatever."
I don't know if that's what it's called.
I wanted to make something extremely gross for you guys. And then on her way out of the house and to walking to school with her best friend shows up, and in the grass it is written in flowers, "Joe Hearts Bert." And the best friend had just told Francis like the day before, like, "Hey, I have a crush on your older brother Bert,
and
don't tell anybody."
Was
and then,
a bad thing.
And then I guess she interprets that somebody put that in the grass means that Francis must have done this super weirdly sadistic thing to her best friend.
Well, yeah, because that was the only person she told.
I know, but even I would have pause a little bit if I had told you something. If I told you something and then I saw it written in flowers on our property, on my property.
Well, and I think that's the whole.
My first thing would be like, it must have been you.
I feel like that's part of the boogeyman thing because everyone is real quick to blame her.
Right.
And I think that even like when they're talking about it, like the narration, they're like, and they were looking for somebody to blame.
Yeah.
And it was like her, so it must have just been part of it, like almost.
Oh, okay.
You know, I just think it was like
it's boogie.
She can't win.
Magic.
Yeah, it's boogie juice. So meanwhile, she's been seeing this cool black dude this entire time, right? He keeps popping up.
What's his name again?
Popping in.
Larry.
His name is Larry, right? So,
but we didn't know that yet.
Right, we didn't know that. At one point, she sees him from across the street, and she's like talking to him. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" And he's like, "You can see me?" and she's like, "Yeah, I can see you. You're not invisible, stupid." And then a bus passes by and he disappears. And it's like, "Oh, okay, maybe he is invisible or something." And then
we kept thinking he was a ghost at first.
Right, I definitely thought he was like a ghost. And then he pops up again.
I honestly don't know what I was thinking. I was just waiting to for it to unfold because it was so different than what I was expecting.
I was just like, this is like a ghost, but I didn't like know why he was there.
He introduces himself to her at one point. I think this is in the lunchroom cafeteria.
Yeah, because she's getting heck of annoyed, and like everybody in the
people starting to like
people are like picking on her.
On her now.
Like, hey, I heard you wrote all the B's.
Yeah.
On all the lockers.
So they're like mad at her, and then she sees
and hold
him.
on, pause. One random bro comes up to her and is like, "Hey, girl, is it true you did it? Because I think that's hecka cool."
About egging the car.
Oh, was it the egging?
Yes,
yeah.
And then she's like, "No, I didn't do it." And he's like, "Oh, no, because that'd be so cool if you did it." I was like, he's so
pretty tight.
trying to get in there right now.
He got a new best friend.
He hecka liked her, but she was not.
Yeah, she wasn't into it. So yeah, Larry appears in the cafeteria.
He's like looking at her with binoculars. Larry is
from 30 feet away.
Yeah, and so she's like, "What the heck are you doing? Why are you here?" And I'm thinking, like, it's funny because she's talking to Larry, and there's people in the background looking at her like she's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, who the heck are you talking to?
He introduces himself as Larry Houdini. And she's like, "Oh, like Harry Houdini?" And he's like, "No, my name is Larry." He says that he's not even a real person. He's an imaginary friend.
That was weird to me.
But not her imaginary friend. She's like, "I don't have an imaginary friend." It's like, I didn't say I was your imaginary friend. Crazy.
But he said, like, he was like, "I must have been sent to help you if you can see me."
Right. Somebody sent me here is what he keeps saying. The voice is in his head. Yeah. It's here that I noticed that he has like genie-like powers. Like,
yes.
He can change outfits on a whim. He has a prop for everything that he's saying. Like every single thing. He's like, you got to reframe your mind, and he's got a frame around his face or whatever.
I thought he was so funny.
I won't lie. Yeah, I found his humor like. Even though it was very like 90s type
90s
humor,
kid stuff, but
it was still
cute,
funny.
Though.
It's very funny.
But maybe we just like that kind of stuff, and I kept picturing.
I thought it held up.
I was like, Andre could totally play this character.
Yeah, Larry was really the star of the show.
Yeah, he was for sure.
He's really pulling the weight of the
about
movie.
Frances that much, honestly. Like, she was kind of annoying to me, but Larry was funny.
Right. Well, I mean, Frances, she's a competent character for the most part. And in any like real world situation, she would probably thrive. Mm-hmm. But since all of this magical weirdness is happening and she keeps trying to look for logical explanations, she's failing to even recognize anything that's happening around her.
Yeah, she can't grasp the fact that this is beyond something that can be explained with science or what.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So she keeps going on and on trying to like disprove the fact that he is an imaginary friend, and she embarrasses herself in front of all of her classmates because she's like,
does anyone see him? Like, that's just too far, girl. I kept telling Andre, I was like, this girl's an idiot. Like, she's just like, do you see me?
Yeah, it happens several times over the next like 2 or 3 scenes where she's like, he's right here, look at him, and then she looks over and he's gone, or the people behind her are like, no, there's nobody there, you're insane,
You're
we're
crazy.
going to put you in a straitjacket very, very soon.
I know. I was getting like, oh, please don't like have her medically assessed.
Right.
Like,
I thought
oh
they
no.
were sending her off to the loony bin.
Good Lord,
The
no.
men in white coats were going to take care of her. But yeah, the administration, they're kind of like interrogating her, like the principal and the guidance counselor. They're like, okay, so what's going on? Are you part of all these pranks? What's happening? And she's like, no, it's Larry. Larry Houdini, he's right here. And they disprove that. They call her mom in. And mom comes in and she's like, what's going on? And they kind of talk to her. But while that's happening, Francis is taking like a nap on a bench outside,
Which was creepy.
which is weird. And then like all the lights turn down low, a purple light emits from underneath, and then fog starts
Some
rolling around,
fingernails.
and then these big old fingernails to come out, and they almost touch her, and then
And she
it
wakes
disappears
up.
and she wakes up, and it's like,
It is
whoa.
also at this point that we
Spooky.
learn a little bit about her siblings. So the guidance counselor
Mm.
is like interrogating the mom, and she's like, I have a theory that your daughter's acting out because she resents having to donate like her bone marrow to her little brother who had
To Darwin.
leukemia.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so like that was a piece of information that we definitely needed. But
Right.
she was like, no, the older brother donated it.
Bert is the
you
one
know?
who donated the bone marrow for the leukemia transplant.
Yeah, which was kind of interesting. I was like,
like,
where are
oh,
they going
okay.
to go with that? Like, is this important? But it ended up being important.
Right.
Later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Very interesting. So that wraps up. They go home.
After a chase through the school with, and I don't know if this is exactly here, but Francis is like chasing Larry all
Yeah,
over the
that's
school.
right.
They end up like in the band
And
room.
they end up in the band room, and he's doing like a jazz number on top of the piano. Then
He's
he's
playing
like in
instruments.
a band outfit.
He's hitting the piano.
They literally think she's crazy.
Yeah, they think she's absolutely lost her bananas.
Yeah. And she's like, Larry's here. He's right here. And they're like, no, he is
He's
not.
like, get in the drum, and we'll find you. And she's just like,
no. I would have been like, good idea.
So by the time they get home, mom has completely lost it. She's catastrophizing. She's like, okay, I don't know what's going on. This is probably some mind control nonsense. They must have got to her in her sleep
know.
or through the TV
Right?
or
I
something.
like that she assumes it's like mass hypnosis. But then the daughter is also like, yeah, this is mass hypnosis.
Right, yeah. Frances is freaking out too because she can't find a logical explanation for any of this. And then at one point she looks down at her bed and she sees these shoes covered with flowers, the same flowers that are out front that says Joe loves Bert or whatever. And she goes to look under the bed to grab the shoes, and then I think something startles her. I think Dad walks in or something like that. And then after that, mom.
but she's getting incriminated hard.
Right,
When
yeah.
I saw those flower shoes, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like, dang, this
the
boogeyman
evidence
get
is
damn.
piling up. She is being
If this was a murder investigation, like,
right.
whoa.
You going to jail?
Girl, you
It's
done.
not just the loony house that they're gonna take you to. It's the big house. It's Darwin who comes in, the little brother. He asks about the boogeyman. He's like, is the boogeyman real? Does he live under your bed? And she's like, what? No, that's crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. What's the boogeyman? Who told you about a boogeyman? And he's like, oh, the guys down at the park said there was a guy named Larry who told him about it. And she's like, Larry? Where is he? What was he doing? He's like,
Damn, Larry.
he's playing basketball down at the park. So Francis goes to the park, and Larry is in a karate gi,
Dude,
playing
Yeah.
basketball,
So funny.
missing every shot, going like, sunk it, 3-pointer, nailed it.
So happy with himself. It's
In his
very
karate
good.
outfit.
In his karate outfit. It's so silly. And they talk for a little while, and it comes out that he's an imaginary friend, and he wasn't her imaginary friend, but he was Darwin's. I think they revealed that at this point.
They figure that out.
Yes. And then Larry takes Francis to the library to learn more about the boogeyman. He goes in there. He talks to all of the little kids. So there's like some 4 and 5-year-olds that are in there watching a story time video. And he's like, hey, what's up, little kids? Give me daps and pounds or whatever.
They're all like giggling.
Yeah, they all like him. But they're the only ones who notice him at all. The librarian's in there. She doesn't give a rip.
Nobody else can see.
Yeah.
The librarian hates Francis, and I love it.
Yeah.
So funny.
Francis is talking out loud to the
Because she's
librarian.
being hecka loud.
Right. She's talking out loud to Larry, and the librarian's like, shh, be quiet. Be
Stop
quiet.
talking to yourself out loud.
The library.
Oh, weirdo.
Larry pulls out a book called Le Livre de Boogie.
I can't.
The Book of the Boogie.
Yeah, where did this book come from?
And I like that he keeps getting radio contact in his head to find these things. It's like, I'm looking for a book. I don't know what it's called, but the book is here. I'm looking for the book.
Somebody is messaging Larry through some kind of weird imaginary friend Bluetooth or whatever. And so he starts looking through the book, and it's like all about the boogeyman. It says it's dedicated to Larry. And then and then at one point the librarian comes and she tells the little kids to shut up because Larry's like entertaining them or whatever. And then he starts to go hardcore. He starts doing backflips. He's really getting the little kids excited. He's getting very into it. And then he goes into the TV that they're watching and he goes, "Hey kids, it's me, Larry." And then he's like, "I'm going to tell you the story of the boogeyman. The boogeyman is this man and he lives under your bed and you got to pull up your covers to your face so he can't get you." And that's like his main goal is to protect kids from the boogeyman. Yeah.
It was creeping me out when he was in the TV. I was like, this is not okay.
Well, and I think that was like supposed to be like a little bit of a plot point that I'm realizing now that I didn't get as much of while I was watching it. But there was a point when like he said something about a mirror or something, and we had seen like the boogeyman's hand come out of the mirror and back in, and then he was able to get into the TV, and later we see him in a mirror and coming out of a mirror.
Coming out.
So the mirrors are like
might be like a transitionary power. Or
it's like something that they can do in between, like shape shifting. I guess.
Very interesting. So.
Which
Francis,
means this imaginary friend's pretty cool.
He's super
but
powerful.
Also kind of
cool.
it-like, which is
but he's super cool.
But he reminds me of the genie in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, that's true. He even dresses like the genie at one point too.
Right? Yeah, he's got an old genie outfit on.
I like when he's like randomly in a cowboy outfit. I was like, what the heck is this?
So Frances, she takes the book. She goes back home. Her parents are like, "Can you tell us the truth, please? Because we're worried about you and you're freaking us out." And she's like, "Whatever. I'm going to my room."
I would be so mad if I was her parent. So I feel her.
Yeah.
Or the parents.
Because they're like, what is happening with her? She might need like legit professional help. Maybe she's under too much pressure. Maybe when Darwin was sick, it was too much for her, and now she's finally acting out. And that all seems accurate to me.
Well, and I think that's why I like this movie too. Like, I guess this is a conversation for later, but they're dealing with some really complex issues in a kids movie, like post-cancer, like the ideals of death. In like,
and what you're supposed to do to like save your sibling
and like
or whatever.
Like what you should and should not be afraid of, and like what you can and can't control. I was like, wow, this is like much more deep than just like, I want to win a race and I really care about this sport.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Be a good team member.
Si se puede.
The movie was good. Okay.
I liked it too. Darwin comes into her room, and Larry sees Darwin, and he's like, "Oh snap, Darwin! What's up, dude? What's happening? What's going on?" But Darwin cannot see Larry at all, and Frances is kind of trying to be an intermediary between the two of them. She's like, "Oh, can you see Larry? Oh, he's right over. You don't know about him?" And he's like, "You told me not to believe in imaginary friends. I don't believe in anything imaginary anymore." And then Larry lights up. He's like, "What?"
It's so cool.
It's really cool. His
this is
eyes
the first
turn
time, right?
Deep purple. Yes, exactly. And he's like, "You're the one who made Darwin stop believing in me." And it's like, oh snap.
He turns into Jafar when he gets into that really creepy red version of himself.
He's super mad. And Frances tries to explain herself. She's like, "No, he had leukemia, and he needed to be able to face reality and not be scared of that particular disease. So he had to let you go at that time, and that's what I tried to convince him of." And then it comes out that Frances wanted to give away her bone marrow, but the doctor said only Bert could do it. Mm-hmm. So this is like one of the most intense scenes in the movie. They're both crying because Larry's mad about Darwin and Frances is mad about Darwin. It's pretty nuts.
Luis would have commentary here, but he's actually sleeping on the couch right now. So his commentary for this scene, he was like, "I don't understand," which it was really interesting because I agreed with him in the moment, but it comes back around full circle. He was like, "Wow, Larry just took that whole conversation and made it like made her." Like, he made an unfair argument against her, like, man, it's your fault because of this, and this, and like you didn't even want to be the bone marrow donor or whatever. And he goes like hard on her, and we both kind of looked at each other like, dang, Larry, like you going off the rails, bro.
Yeah, this like made me super uncomfortable too. I was like, oh, okay, we getting deep in this movie.
Right.
Yeah, and so at least at that point, Luis was like, that was unfair. But I think it's good because later on it comes back around to kind of show the truth or not truth of those statements.
Right. Jafeel.
But I think we also know at this point that believing in the imaginary friend is a little bit important, which kind of gets foreshadowed by those kids. Like when they're watching the story time originally in the library, it's about Peter Pan and how they have to clap to believe in Tinkerbell to like bring her back to life, which I think is in like the second Peter Pan movie or something. Or maybe it isn't.
I mean, it's in the original story, and it's throughout some of those movies, but I don't think it is.
So at this
in the
point,
Disney
Andre
movie,
had kind of predicted the movie, and I still was like, wait, what? And then once he said it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, so the next scene is it's nighttime again, everybody's asleep, and Larry wakes up Francis because he hears the boogeyman on the roof. And he's like, the boogeyman's on the roof. We got to go up there. We got to go get him. So Francis goes to get a ladder from the garage. It's the middle of the night, and Larry makes his way up the roof through magical means, I guess, and he sees the boogeyman. And we see the boogeyman's face for the first time, and the boogeyman's like, hey, rhyme.
Dude, he was gross looking.
Yeah, he's pretty creepy. He's got deep purple eyes, and he's got an old scraggly face. He's got whiskers. He's got long claws, and he's got a hobo outfit on, and. And he attacks Larry. He like pushes him off the roof, and Larry's hanging from like the gutters or whatever. And he's like, "Hey, watch yourself, Larry. You might be more boogie than you think, you know." And then he like disappears. And Frances comes over, and she tries to put the ladder up to the roof. She accidentally smashes a window, and the parents wake up. And so Larry, I guess he just disappears. I don't know why he was even hanging from the ledge, honestly. It seems like you could have got yourself out of that situation magically.
Definitely.
But he disappears. The parents freak out. And
because there's just Christmas lights everywhere.
Right, that's what the
and
boogeyman
at this
was
point
doing.
too, like if you think about it though, your teenage daughter's outside in the middle of the night. She's literally covered your entire house roof with Christmas lights, and there's so many that it shuts down the power throughout the city, or at least the entire like block area.
Yeah, and it's become such big news that it's the front page of the paper the next morning. It lands at their doorstep, and then the press arrives, and they're all knocking on the door. They're like, "Oh, Francis, you did it. We know it was you. It's crazy." And
I would be really upset if I was the parents too.
But like at that point, like if your daughter's just like caught at the crime scene, it's like, please stop it.
Right,
like stop.
We gotta get out of here. And literally, that's what they try to do. He's like, we gotta go on a trip. We gotta get out. We gotta get away from the house. I looked at
Luis. I'm like, it's about to be a Dursley situation.
Right? Yeah.
Like, we need to go.
That's what I was thinking. Oh, they're going to that little island on the
For
boat.
sure.
And the best part is the next scene. Like everybody's like, "Nah, man, I gotta do this. Nah, man, I gotta do this. Nah, Dad, I ain't going." And the next scene is the parents driving away and the kids are at home. I'm like, what?
It's so weird.
Why would the parents just leave if this is all happening?
I think everybody left except for Francis. I don't think Bert and Darwin stayed home, even though they said they wanted to. But I think they all left.
No idea.
And they just drove away.
Why would you leave the problem child?
I have no idea why they would. And where did the press go? It's like, the press was knocking on the door at 7 a.m. and now it's 9:45 and everybody gone.
Right.
They're like, if you don't tell about these Christmas lights, we just gonna go.
All right, the story's over. So yeah, the parents leave. Francis is at home. Larry shows up again, and he's like, "Yo, bro, I've been reading this book. There's this thing called the temporal fuse. We just got to build this, and then we can capture the boogeyman. It's pretty easy. They got the instructions and everything. It's all right here." And Francis is freaking out. She's like, "Bro, you saw the boogeyman last night? Is he even real? Are you sure?" And then as he's building the temporal fuse, he explains to her how it works. Like, basically, imaginary friends, their purpose is to hang out with their kid until the kid doesn't need them anymore, and then
they go to like
the
next
they
kid,
go find another kid, and as long as you got a kid friend, then you'll stay young forever. And And so what the temporal-fuge does is it takes a boogeyman and it ages them up so much that they don't have boogie powers anymore.
They're just tired. They don't got no energy to do no
Right,
boogie.
they can't get their boogie on any longer. So he tests it by attaching it to a carton of
So
milk.
I cannot. It's so disgusting.
He turns this sucker on and it explodes into rotten cottage cheese, and it's the most disgusting thing in the movie, including the sock stuff that comes later. I hate the cheese part.
That was
Socks
disgusting.
all day long.
It was literally disgusting.
It was
and she seems so confused about how science works. Like, I was
Right.
like, I actually understood that. Why are you confused?
Yeah, it's
Like,
like-
her of all people should have gotten that
it goes
too.
in the coils to the vacuum, and then it comes out of the
Is that my
pads.
dad's vacuum? Yes.
Yeah, girl.
Yes, it is.
Trying to
He
get
was
rid of
like
the
so
boogeyman.
offended. He was like, "Why does your dad vacuum?"
Oh yeah, that's right. he's very perturbed by
He's
Mr.
like,
Mom
"That's
over
weird."
here. Yeah. So after this, Larry looks in the book and he sees that there is a recipe for Boogey Goo.
But I think that also in this scene, we get the first glimpse. I mean, we saw his eyes turn
yeah, that's
purple,
right.
but I kind of just at that moment thought that his eyes turned purple, like he just got mad and that's something
Right.
that happened.
That's something that happens
But
to
we
imaginary
see
friends.
like his
I
little
thought so, too.
fingers are starting to turn boogie-like. Like they're
Yes.
getting long and witchy and
crinkly or whatever.
crinkly.
Wrinkly.
Yeah, he gets wrinkly.
Crinkly.
So
I
yes,
like it, crinkly.
Francis walks away and he's like hidden his claws or whatever, and then he sees a pair of scissors and he tries to chop them up. So I guess that kind of works.
He looks like Edward Scissorhands.
So gross, though.
So
Is this when they're making the nasty boogie goo?
Yeah.
Well, it was right before that, but
Blech,
yes.
blech,
So
blech.
at this point, the parents, the dad,
They came back.
the dad is like, I'm calling the guidance counselor. She's coming over for dinner. I'm
That's
gonna make.
literally so weird. You
He's
should
like, I
never,
have a turkey to make or something.
You should
had
like
that whole roast.
literally never do that to your teenage daughter. Do not invite the guidance counselor from the school
To dinner.
over to dinner.
So he invites her over. They're all having like family dinner, pretty much, and it's going pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. going okay.
Until Francis is
It's
like,
fine.
Something weird is happening.
what is happening in the kitchen?
She excuses herself. She goes to the kitchen
And this is where I was like, I've seen this scene.
Right, yes.
So up until this whole point, I had no idea what was happening. But then I was like, oh, yeah, this crazy, like, nasty
the
stew.
nasty goo. So he's in there whipping up a concoction. He's got all this purple goo, and he's like, I'm making Boogey Goo. It's awesome. It's got rotten eggs. It's got brown sugar. It's got bacon grease, bugs, iron, slugs, cafeteria leftovers,
Literally,
and one of Bert's gym shocks run through the blender. And she was like, "You
Because
wiped
they
out the
needed
blender,
week
right?"
old sweat.
so
So
disgusting.
that's why the gym socks in
It's
there.
literally so disgusting. I'm just thinking about what you said earlier.
Yeah,
we have to tell Emily later.
We can't say it. So he's in there making Boogey Goo, and it's absolutely disgusting. Apparently, it smells putrid in there.
No doubt.
Larry hides because Mom is walking in, and Mom's like, "Oh my God, what is happening in here, Francis? How could you have possibly done this?
Disgusting.
You got up from the table 3 minutes ago. How did you make this much of a mess this fast?" And Francis is trying to make up some weird excuse, and Mom's like, "Hey, if there's anything you need to tell me, you can like tell me about it, because I'm your mom and I just want you to be safe. I don't want to punish you, but oh my God, it smells so bad in here." And,
I literally was like, their mom is being too nice. I'd be so done at this point.
right, yeah, it's over. They haven't even grounded her at this point, right?
No.
Yeah.
And I think it's because she, like, at this point, I kept saying, like, what is this lady's job? Because you can tell she's some type of, like, empath type
Right.
of position. And then at this point, she says she's a cultural anthropologist. So I feel like she's, like, studying her daughter.
Right.
Like, what is
Yeah,
happening
that's
here?
true.
What is going
and the
on
dad
here?
is just, like, up to here.
Oh, the dad
like,
is
done.
over.
Oh,
all
I'd
of
be
it.
done at
Oh,
this
for
point
sure.
for sure.
So back out at the dinner table, Dad is serving what is it supposed to be?
Piggly wiggly yogurt.
Is that what it is?
I have
Is
no
it
idea.
the yogurt goo or whatever?
It had to have
Yeah.
been something inside of a blender.
it was something in the blender, probably.
Yes, he
it was
made-
probably like
I thought it was like an eggnog.
It was like
type
a
of dish or
pudding.
something
It was like
that.
pudding or
some
something.
kind of pudding. He serves that to a little Darwin, the mom, and the guidance counselor. And the guidance counselor takes a bite of this pudding goo or whatever, and she's like, I taste a hint of nutmeg, and then she pulls an entire
I
sock,
literally can't.
a sock strand out of her mouth, and it's I made a big deal about the cheese earlier, but this is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. It's really, really gross.
I literally can't. I looked at Andre and I was doing this out. I was like, I'm gonna throw up.
Michelle almost threw up while we were watching.
I almost threw up because
It's disgusting.
I feel like I don't like it.
It was really gross.
But we missed one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yes.
Is what we kind of are going back and forth. You're seeing like kitchen, dining room, kitchen, dining room, kitchen, dining room. And so Mom finally goes back out to the dining room to see all of this craziness unfolding. And Frances is in the kitchen and she's like, Larry, where'd you go? Larry, Larry. And she realizes Larry's inside the pot. And it's
oh
a
my
big old
gosh,
pot.
yes.
But he's in there and she takes the top off and is assaulted by the putrid smell. But Larry climbs out of this
pulls himself out of the pot, which is like, it's a big pot, but it's not big enough to hold like a 14-year-old boy. You know? And so he's magically pulling himself out of this goo. And he's like, oh, snap, Boogey Goo. And he's like licking it and tasting it and he's loving it and stuff.
I literally wanted to throw up.
And she's like, are you okay?
And he's like, Boogey Goo.
And then she says something, I don't know exactly what she says, but it's nothing accusatory, but she's like, hey, Larry, are you okay? And he's like, I'm not turning into a boogeyman, okay? I'm not doing it. I'm not turning into a boogeyman. Don't go there, Francis, is what he says. And then he runs away and he drops some of the Boogey Goo on the floor.
Darwin, we immediately know he turning into a boogeyman.
Oh yeah.
At this point,
he's getting
boogie.
He's getting boogie for sure. Darwin, he runs upstairs because he doesn't want to see the guidance counselor puke, and he steps in the Boogey Goo himself. Francis goes up there, Darwin's up there, and Larry are all up there. I think Larry is in Darwin's room, and he's like cowering on the floor. He's like shaking and stuff. Francis goes in there, and then Darwin comes into his own room, and he's like, Francis, who are you talking to? She's like, I'm trying to have a conversation. Get out of here. He's like, this is my room. I guess I'll just go to yours then.
I know.
Hilarious.
So he walks back to Francis' room, and Larry does
the creepiest thing of this whole movie.
Yeah, he's like, I wrote, he's like 75% boogeyman at this point. He's really nasty. He's got the teeth, he's got the eyes, he's got the claws. It's gross. And then
but this is where he does the
he crawls.
It was so bad.
He crawls towards her with his little boogie fingers or whatever.
Which it's like pre The Ring.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think I'd ever really seen something like that. So I'm assuming if my kid self saw this, I would have been much more scarred. Having seen it for the first time, because I remember the first time I saw The Ring, the girl crawling out the well, that was like extremely petrifying. For sure. But this was how he did it. Like, I mean, his legs weren't coming over the top, but like, he got the shoulders and the elbows and the fingers, and
it was creepy. He's losing it. And meanwhile, over in Francis's room, you see the purple light coming from under the bed, and then Darwin is like, whoop, taken. He is gone. Francis runs in there, and then Larry explains that he's in Boogie World now, and we'd have to go down into Boogie World in order to rescue him, and if we go down there and I go full boogeyman, then you might be trapped in Boogie World forever.
I don't remember this part of the movie. Like,
I had no idea if we were actually going to see what Boogie World looks like. I did not know
that's what I mostly remembered about this movie.
Oh, I didn't remember this part
purple
at
land
all.
under the bed, and I thought that we were going to spend actually a lot more time there.
I kind of kept thinking, like, is this going to be Beetlejuice-esque? Like, what is it going to look like down there? I didn't even think we were going to go really under the bed. I thought it was more of like a just foretelling that there is something under the bed.
I mean, I thought we were going to get more Boogeyman, like FaceTime with Boogeyman. You know, so like at this point it was good that we got some FaceTime with him, but I was not a fan of them going to the Boogie World.
To Boogie World.
No, like that wasn't for me.
It's definitely odd from like a logical standpoint. Like if the Boogeyman is real and he does haunt children, but it's not like children get taken by the Boogeyman. all the time, right? That's not part of the
I don't
legends
know. And maybe
necessarily.
that's why I thought it was weird. Like, I get that they were going to go under the bed, but I just, like, the way that they made the Boogie World, I wasn't a super fan of
Right,
that.
yeah,
Being
so-
just, like, toys and things like
So
that.
Boogie World is like an expansive version of what's under your bed. So everything that's under your bed lives in Boogie World as a gigantic figurine. So if you got a toy car under there, it's gigantic. If you got an old moldy sandwich under there, it's gigantic and smelly. And but also there's
Yeah,
like,
that grossed me out, dude.
also there's like cliffs and fog and draw distance. Like there's castles in the background and stuff like that. It's weird in Boogie World. So they go down there. They bring the temporal fuge. They have it plugged in to the wall outlet in Francis's room, and it's attached to an extension cord. So they're going down there. They step in sandwich. Apparently some maggots that are in the sandwich try to attack them, which is gross. Larry is getting more and more boogeyman as time goes on. They find a toy car, they wind that up, and then they drive through Boogie World, which is kind of cool. It's very Honey, I Shrunk the Kids esque, that type of set.
But I just like didn't like that part. I don't know. Maybe it just grossed me out after I saw the sandwich. I was like, I'm done.
I mean, it's nasty down there.
Yeah.
If it's not dust mites or the old moldy
Like,
sandwiches.
I needed to clean my kitchen after I watched this movie. I was like,
It's pretty gross. So they drive in far enough. Larry gets booted off because the extension cord doesn't reach all the way. But then they find Darwin, and he is inside of a dirty sock or something like that. The boogeyman has trapped him. So Francis goes to try to rescue him from the dirty sock. It's tied up real tightly, I guess, because she can't get him out of there for the life of her.
For 25 minutes, practically.
And then the boogeyman rises up out of something, and Larry kind of has to fight the boogeyman for a while. He tries to attach the temporal fuge to him, but the extension cord runs out, so he can't reach it, and then it unplugs itself, so he can't even turn it on. And he's fighting the boogeyman, and then he's like turning into the boogeyman even more and more. And I think at this point he has gone full boogeyman, and he and the boogeyman like high five.
Yeah,
they like team up.
Yeah,
They're ready to boogie.
They have a boogie moment. They drag Darwin to like the edge of a cliff. They're going to toss him off, and then Francis.
And I'm thinking in my head, like my logical brain, like, okay, so is he just going to pop out the other side of the bed? Like, what's going to happen to him if they throw him off?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like, is this an actual bad thing that they're going to do this, or is it saving them from Boogie World?
How does this world actually work? They do enter a portal in order to get
That's
into Boogie
true.
World. So maybe it's just like closed and open at certain points or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so Larry has turned full boogeyman, and Francis drops a giant book onto the boogeyman, and then she kind of has to coach Darwin, like, hey, Darwin, I know I said don't believe in imaginary things, but you have to remember your friend Larry. You have to remember, you have to clap if you believe in Larry. And
Yeah, that's where I was like, okay, Tinkerbell.
and so so he does that, and then it works. It magically turns Larry back into Larry, and he's no longer Boogie Larry. He's wearing his cowboy outfit.
Well, and I don't know if you remember this or if you caught this, but I thought this was just freaking cute, was that I think Larry looks the way Larry does when he's interacting with Darwin, because Darwin has
His toys. He has action figures.
the figurine that looks exactly like
Right,
Larry.
yeah, he's
Exactly.
got a
Like,
black cowboy that hangs
it's
out on his
so
nightstand,
cute.
and so that's what Larry Houdini, the imaginary friend, is based off of. And I think most of his outfits are other of
Like action figures
Yeah. Of
that
Darwin's toys.
Darwin has.
yeah, which is a really cool
I
detail.
like that.
So he comes back as the cowboy, and then the boogeyman rises from inside the book, and they have a straight up superhero end of the movie fight. The boogeyman grows 2 long fingernails
I'm
to fight
sorry,
with.
it was
Disgusting.
Wolverine bone fingers, and
That
that
was disgusting. I did not like that.
He's fighting him. Larry has a giant pen. He's like, the pen is mightier than the sword, and then he grows a second fingernail. He's like, the pen is mightier than 2 swords, and then the fingernail cuts through the pen. He's like, okay, I guess fingernails work against pens. I don't know. So that's
I
funny.
mean, it was silly, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like killing me or anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty rudimentary, but I mean, it was kind of like Power Rangers
but
choreography
like,
fighting.
How scary could they get though?
Right.
I think
It was fun.
Yeah, it's a fun fight scene here at the end. So
And they finally, at this point, get the what is it called?
The temporal fuse.
I want to call it a centrifuge.
Yeah, Frances plugs it into like a
battery
D
that's under her
battery.
bed.
Yeah, she converts some electricity. I guess she is good at science or whatever. And so she does that. She turns it on. She attaches it to the boogeyman, and the boogeyman grows older and older and older. But then you realize that it's become an old woman and not an old man. And she's
That was like so.
Franny.
I was like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, I was like, what is going on here? Why did it turn it into an old lady?
Yeah.
So it did that. And then once they turned it off,
which is funny because Luis at this point was like, "Don't even tell me," because we had agreed by now that like she's been lying about not having had an imaginary friend.
Mm-hmm.
And Luis was like, "You better not tell me that her imaginary friend was a girl, but she turned into a boogeyman, and we've been up in here talking about the boogeyman this whole time." Like he was so mad.
It was just like weird to me. I'm like, I don't understand why they made the boogeyman a man then.
There's some weird boogeyman powers, I guess. It just transitions you no matter what kind of imaginary friend you are.
I guess.
Non-binary.
Yeah, exactly. It's very odd. But yeah, so they turn it on. She's an old boogeyman lady, and then it shorts out because the battery didn't have that much power in it, I guess, and that reverts her back to boogeyman age, and then Frances finally admits that she did have an imaginary friend. She was the only one who called me Franny. And then when she says that, the boogeyman turns into the imaginary friend. Her name is Zoe. She's like a weird British lady, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. She's like a Victorian.
Oh, maybe she's the doll from the beginning.
Yeah, I think she's.
Yeah, kind of.
She looks like the doll that was like staring at her.
Okay, that's cool. I just realized that. That's interesting. Yeah. So I mean that's kind of it. They take Darwin out of that sock, and then they exit Boogie World, and then her parents come in and see Frances and Darwin, but also Larry and Zoe are there, and they're like, you know what? We thought about it, and I guess we forgive you now. Did I miss this part? Why did they forgive her?
They said
they went onto the internet.
They went onto the internet and saw that this same stuff is happening in the town next to them. So that it must just be the same people doing the stuff and not their daughter.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like,
I
was like, okay,
weird.
So you, whatever.
So boogie shenanigans are happening all over Middleton.
Happen, worldwide. Apparently, I don't know what's going on with these boogeymen. The uprising is happening. But yeah, the parents come in and they're like, you know what, we're proud of you and we forgive you. We're sorry. We're in the end game now. And then Darwin, who now realizes that Larry is real and is his imaginary friend, he starts talking to Larry from Dad's back where he is, and he thinks that Darwin is just talking to Frances, and he's like, I believe in you, and Dad is like, I believe in you too, Frances. And I was like, okay. That's nice. They leave the room, and then Zoe's there, and they go over how she's a boogie person and not a boogie man. It's boogie person, and Larry's like, okay, I get it. Those are your pronouns, whatever. Sorry. And then there's another scene where they go outside because.
So at this point, they're like, all right, we got to go. And Frances is like, what do you mean you got to go? And they're like, well, we got to go like fight
Help
this
the
boogie
other
person
town,
in this next town. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I'll see you later. And they're like, no, we're not going to see you again because you don't need us. You're old enough to not.
You're a grown-up.
Need emergenary.
Emergenary.
You don't need emergenary purple.
Emergenary purper.
And so they go to leave, and I know this is your major issue with the movie because I
literally can't. Okay, so I think this is why I was like, the end of the movie sucked. So she's like upset. She's like, well, I don't understand. And they're like, you don't need us anymore. And her friend Zoe's trying to explain it. And Larry's like, no, stop it.
Hold on, I got this.
And like kisses her.
He goes over to her. He puts the Mac on. He's like, hey, girl. And
that was supposed to like.
Andre said it was supposed to be like, see, you don't need me because you're into me. You don't want to be my friend like you would want to be my girlfriend.
The kiss is over, and Frances is like, oh, maybe I am not a kid anymore. It's like, oh,
honestly.
wow, okay. So an awakening.
In her loins, okay? Because
that was
Ring awakening, y'all.
Well, that's what I was like. Is that the point of this right now? Because why did Larry kiss her? Like, they did not need to do that. at all.
I mean, I think that's kind of a demographic thing. You know, this movie came out in the same year that Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. So I think they're targeting a tween audience or whatever, right? So,
but I never got any vibes that Larry liked her at all.
No, but there.
And so I was
there
like,
was
what
some,
the heck?
some just like from Frances that she was like, oh my god, a cute boy is like looking at me. What's going on over there? And then her friend
like
has a
1
crush on Bert.
second.
You know, there's a romance
like
sprinkled in.
Yeah,
you know?
we're getting a little bit older in our demographic.
Right.
Who's
Yes,
watching
I
this
didn't
movie.
need it. I was like, that was so stupid.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too because I was reading an article about this movie and it was saying that was this whole movie was controversial when it came out because parents were like mad that it was scary and that it was scaring their littler kids.
Right. Yeah.
So Disney Channel actually pulled it from programming for a couple years.
I did not know that.
Because they were like, well, I guess if you're gonna put up a stink about it. But it's interesting because that was one of the kiss actually was one of the things that was highly contested when they were going through like test groups. I don't what do you call that?
Focus groups.
Yeah.
Focus groups
Yeah.
what before it came out, and they were like, it was like a race thing too. Like, well, why is he just coming in and kissing this girl and she didn't want it wasn't like something
consensual.
she asked for and
Yeah.
blah blah.
I mean, I didn't take that from it. I just thought it was
like,
weird.
that's not what I got.
Right.
But the director was like, even this role was not written for like an African American
Person
boy
necessarily.
or whatever.
It was just a guy.
But
That's who we cast.
once we casted him, I didn't want to change my vision, and I think it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
It
That's
does
just what I wanted.
It's fine, just weird.
But I think it was interesting that became like an issue,
Right.
not because it was weird, but because
just
it
because
was
of the
like
race.
of who the person was that was casted.
That didn't matter
That's
at all. It was
interesting.
just weird.
Yeah, I mean, this just popped into my head, but it's similar to like Thackeray Binks from Hocus Pocus, who kisses the who does the kissing? Somebody gets some
That
smooching
was
going
also
on
weird.
at the very end of that movie, and it's like a ghost kiss or whatever. It's like, okay, I guess we can do this, sure.
Always has to be a kiss in these tweeny movies, you know?
Right, that's the thing. Is
I'm
that
trying to think. Yeah, who did he kiss?
was it the little girl?
No.
No, because he's older, right? And then Max was with the other girl.
I don't remember, guys.
I don't remember either. But somebody gets a smooch on, I think.
Yeah, but Max gets a smooch on, but doesn't Thackeray kiss somebody?
I thought Thackeray kissed somebody. I thought it was
Maybe
a
not.
ghost smooch.
Maybe it's just Max.
Yeah. Okay. Anywho, disregard that reference.
That was 3 years ago, y'all. We don't remember
well,
what
I can't
happened.
remember that movie. So yeah, and then the movie is over. But yeah, that was a very interesting avenue that they decided to take these characters on. And yeah, I didn't like love it or anything like that, but the rest of the conclusion I did.
I mean, you missed the last scene, which was cute. That Darwin got into bed with his sister, and he was saying about how he's scared, and she was like, "Well, did you ask Larry how to not be scared?" And he was like, "No, Larry told me to ask you because you're going to be a grown up."
Yeah.
And she basically told him that grown ups fake it till they make it.
Yeah,
and I was
she's
like,
like-
You were like,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, you right,
He's
homie.
like, it's like
that.
pretending to not be scared. Okay, I guess I could do that.
And you're
just
like,
like, yeah.
Yeah,
that
he's
sounds
not
about
wrong.
that sounds
That's what you
about
do.
right. But that
Fake
was
it till you
cute.
make it, Darwin.
And that was like I said, that was the end of the movie.
I just looked up a picture of the porcelain doll shown at the beginning of the movie, and it's 900% her
Zoe.
Yeah.
her imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like her
cool.
whole outfit. And
I'm glad
everything.
that I realized that.
Good.
on
And then the
episode.
credit song was Boogie Wonderland.
That's the
Oh,
scary
yeah, the-
thing.
the-
like I'm gonna
the
save
creepy,
that
scary
gift
crawly.
so I
That's
can just
gross.
post that for
Boogie
y'all.
Wonderland.
Oh, that's why that song was stuck in my head earlier today.
Yeah, because it was the credit song.
I was like singing it in the shower. I was like, where am I getting my boogie on? But
Boogie Wonderland.
but yeah, that's it. That is Don't Look Under the Bed. Overall, a pretty solid Disney Channel original film. Oh dear, I thought I had the Rotten Tomatoes score up, but I guess I'll have to refresh.
I feel like I want to watch Under Wraps next. That's the one I remember because for some reason I was like thinking of the Under Wraps face, and then when they showed the actual boogeyman, I was like, "That's not what he looks like." Nope, that's not him.
Yeah, the story in Under Wraps, I guess, is somewhat similar. There's a bunch of kids and they find a mummy and then they gotta hang out with them during the evening and take them to the dance.
Yeah, it's similar.
Their mom falls in love or whatever. But yeah, that movie was cool. I think that was one of the first Disney Channel.
I think that was
movies.
the first one. I was getting it confused with this one.
Right. I'm trying to look up the score for Don't Look Under the Bed on Rotten Tomatoes, and the website is giving me some issues. I apologize. Give me one moment. I will say that this movie has a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
Okay.
And I still don't have this website up. All right. Okay. It made no money because it came out on the Disney Channel. But according to this Wikipedia article, it was the second DCOM to receive a TV PG rating due to its scary scenes. According to the director, there were a number of meetings where we talked about the tone and what Disney wanted it to be. Scary, but not too scary. That's the bar we kept trying to find. Everybody thought we had hit it until they started getting derogatory mail after it aired. Disney Channel ultimately stopped airing the film at the request of parents who thought it was too scary, but it is now available to stream.
I don't think it's too
Disney
scary,
Plus.
but I could see, like, if someone like Adeline watched this, she would be like, whoa.
Yeah.
You have to be, like, a certain age.
Agreed.
But, I mean, Disney Channel.
But that's what makes it PG, is saying,
Exactly.
like, it really isn't all audiences.
No, but I feel like Disney Channel, I mean, they probably shouldn't have been having their younger kids watch it in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like too intense for a 4 or 5 year old, but like just right for a 10-year-old.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
say, you know. Okay, on Rotten Tomatoes, which is loading on my phone now. Actually, no, it's not. I don't know what's happening. Maybe
their website's down.
Maybe this page has been deleted or something like that. I can't find the score.
Their website might be down.
I apologize. I probably should have looked at it earlier. Let's say it got I don't know, 74.
Just add it in the episode later. But we'll rate it ourselves.
Yes, let's give our ratings.
Well, Luis gives it a sleepy rating.
Yeah, he's sleeping, sitting
out.
up. Poor guy. Would you like to give it a rating, bud?
He went. What are you going to give this movie?
Like I mentioned earlier, right before I doze off.
Mm-hmm.
Did you mention anything in this episode?
Way earlier. It was well made. Given the fact that, you know, this movie could easily have been just one of those that, oh man, I don't like it because it's dumb.
Right. It could have been.
But it wasn't. So I'm going to give it a solid C average. 7 out of 10.
C.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'll go next. I was going to give it an 8 because it held up well compared to some other DCOMs that we watched. But just for like the weird Boogie World stuff that I wasn't liking in that kiss, I agree with Elise. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It was solid. It's a good Halloween movie. And I liked it. Emily.
I'm going to give it like an 8 or an 8.5 because in comparison to some of the other stuff we saw, I liked this a lot better. Like, I don't remember what I just gave James and the Giant Peach, but I feel like I did. I gave it like a 6.
5.
Right.
But
yeah.
this is like way better than that.
Yeah.
And this is a DCOM. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
you know what I mean?
That's
I
true.
agree.
I'll give it like a 7.5.
No, I mean, you don't have to change your rating, but I will watch this again.
Yeah.
I thought this was cute. I thought that it had, like, I want to rewatch it and watch for the little creepy things that are happening.
Yeah.
There were some parts where I was a little freaked out in a good way. Like, it was a fun creep out. And I like the shenanigans, like the Jello in the pool and the dogs on the roof and just the weird stuff that was happening. It was like watching Halloween Town again.
Yeah.
Like the first one and enjoying it.
I
that
love
much.
that movie.
Because you get the little shenanigan pieces
Right.
of it.
That's very true.
So I'm going to say I'm going to give it an 8, especially because it's a DCOM.
Yeah.
Like I liked it a lot.
I think I agree almost wholeheartedly that this is probably an 8. Which is crazy. Yeah, for a DCOM, it's really high, but it's once again really solid. Like it's not a bad movie in any shape or form.
And I like that I couldn't predict it.
Yeah, I wrote that in my notes a couple of times. Like I have no idea where this is going, but I'm excited to be
But
here.
that's what made you like want to keep watching it. Because sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm over it, like about halfway through, but I was like into it.
But that's like a perfect example of how I felt about like Maleficent.
Yeah.
Like the second one we
we
just
were
watched.
over it. Yeah.
I knew what was coming because you could just tell it was just a trope.
It's just
and
like,
I
let's
didn't-
get here already so I can go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
This was just like twisty and turny in some good ways. So
Yeah, and you know,
writing.
with this kind of story, they were able to throw in a bunch of different things that didn't lead us down Tropesville. You know, like the story of the boogeyman isn't one that's universally told, so they can throw in all kinds of different stuff, even including imaginary friends become boogeymen. That's a really cool detail. Yeah, that does make sense throughout the course of the movie.
It was a very original twist.
Yeah, and his subtle turn from like super fun imaginary friend to creepy scary boogeyman was like really cool to watch.
I agree.
Well. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Don't look under the bed. I don't have a Rotten Tomatoes score for it because Rotten Tomatoes is down at the moment. So Google it yourself. It might be up by now. That is it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Join us on social media. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
We didn't tell them what we're doing next week.
Oh, that's right. Next week we are watching
We're watching a movie that we're relating to the fact that next week is elections. Okay?
That's
you better
true.
have voted, and if you haven't already, go and do it.
Go and do it, or like maybe put your ballot in the mail like right now.
Yeah, check it out. If you're
like right now, put your ballot in there. So
voting eligible age.
We thought that this was an appropriate movie in light of elections.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to take your mind off what really is happening in the world and join us in fiction land. We're going to be watching the 1996 live-action Disney film First Kid
with Sinbad,
starring Sinbad.
I've never seen this, but I feel like it's going to be fun shenanigans.
I've also never seen it.
I remember this movie being so good when I was a kid. Like, it was awesome.
But I feel like Sinbad's either like really good or really bad. So you know what I mean? Like, especially
we'll take your word for it, Andre.
But this is Sinbad at his prime. It's the mid '90s. He's goofing and guffawing. He's doing all kinds of fun stuff.
Does he wear like MC Hammer pants in this movie?
I mean, he wears tracksuits. The tracksuits come out for sure. He's playing a Secret Service agent, so he does wear like real suits a lot as well. But the tracksuits, they're in there.
Oh, so excited!
So
this is gonna be a fun one.
This is gonna be a fun one. Join us next week for some First Kid goodness.
You're not lying. I've been sitting on Rotten Tomatoes trying to get this to pull up for days, and it's not doing anything.
I think the website's down.
Yeah, I guess they're down.
Who is trying to Rotten Tomato right now besides us?
It's 10 o'clock. Gotta
everybody in the club getting rocked.
Gotta get these movie reviews in.
Everybody on the rock.
So yes, as I said, at the Walt Vault Pod, go there, leave us a comment, let us know what you thought of this movie. Don't look under the bed. If you watched it, is it better than the other DCOMs? Did you like it more than our last movie, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad? I'll tell you what, I certainly did. That last one was kind of garbage. All right. If you want to help support us, you can go to any podcast platform that you're listening on and subscribe. Hit subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all of the places. Hit that. Leave us a review. Leave us a rating. 5 stars is the preferred amount of stars, but do what your heart feels. Follow it.
6.
Yeah, 6 stars. That's right. And you can join us on Patreon. We're patreon.com/thewaltball. We give you a little bit extra content for just a little bit of money. That helps us keep the lights on over here in this dark vault. Also, you can head to our merch store. You get our brand new anniversary shirt. It's up there. It's waiting for your purchase. And Emily found the score. Okay, Don't Look Under the Bed has no score on the actual tomato meter, but the audience score is 68%. Does it just say there's not enough like critical reviews on there?
It says thermometer. Tomato meter not yet available. So there's a not applicable total count. It says just no consensus.
Yeah, I mean probably because it's a TV movie.
But it does say 68 user score out of 851 user ratings.
Oh, that's not even that many. That's pretty good.
Well, that's pretty low, though, I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it more than 68%, for sure. For sure. All right, you guys. That's been it. We love you.
We love you.
We love you.
We don't want you to get captured by boogeymen.
Please no.
Join us next time for some...
Believe in your friends, y'all.
Join us next time for some presidential First Kid goodness. The vault is now closed.